John has traveled the world, studying, teaching, working, and came back to Canada and met Patty. And they began the next phase of their lives, eventually settling in St. Catharines. John brought Patty into our family and us into her life. He has never been happier, and we are very grateful. However, despite the best medical care, despite the strong motivation to survive, with the love of John, with the love of her family and friends, Patty succumbed after a mercifully short illness to an incurable and lethal disease, osteocarcinoma, bone cancer. Patty was predeceased by her parents, Isilda and Gustavo. She's survived by 2 sisters, son Michael, daughter Stephanie. And Patty is survived by all of us and our fond and loving memories of her. As I like to do, I would like to raise a glass and offer a toast to Patty Álvarez. To Patty. So with that introduction, John, perhaps you'd like to use you would like to say a few words.
Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Danny and Marcia, for organizing this. You've gone above and beyond in giving the opportunity for a lot of friends who didn't even know Patty was sick until just finding out now, for organizing this. Thank you for the Latino community who loved and knew Patty, who are here. Thank you for our family members. Thank you for friends. Thank you for my Niagara College family representatives who are here as well. Patty told Stephanie and I, I don't want a funeral, I don't want a casket, I don't want people looking at me. She wanted to be cremated, but Danny and Mickey, her son, also thought it would be important for us to have a little celebration to give other people closure. Patty was a very private person. She didn't like people to know that she was ill. We didn't really find out until just before Christmas. And when she was diagnosed, she was complaining of back pain for the last few months, and we thought it was just a muscle pain. We went to the chiropractor or the physiotherapy. The pain got so bad that before Christmas, we went in and found out she had a tumor on her vertebra. And then the doctors were worried that if it kept growing, it could, keep her from walking. So we started radiation treatments over Christmas and New Year's. She didn't want to spoil anybody's Christmas or New Year's. She didn't want to tell even the family, and swore me to secrecy. I mean, that was her. She didn't like to know. One person that I did confide in was my friend and boss, Teresa, from school, who has been a great help, and thank you for being here, Teresa. Patty was thinking of going back to work. I mean, she worked at Niagara College part-time for about 10 years, and she worked at Niagara University in the States for 5 years. And up until January the 20th, she was considering going back. She said, this will be my last semester. I don't want to leave the students alone. I want to complete the course with them. And then after April, I'll stop working. And the doctors and I were trying to convince her maybe better to stay home and better to rest. And the last minute, she decided she was getting tired, and going across the border and coming back was maybe too much, so we decided she wouldn't work anymore. But in November, she was still driving her bicycle around St. Catharines. We had Christmas with the girls together. She loved everybody dearly, and I'm fortunate that while it was a stressful time caring for her over the last 6 or 7 weeks, we had a lot of time to talk. I mean, once my brain gets back to normal and I process things, I'll be happy to share many of the insights and instructions that Patty and I were able to talk about. Patty was the smartest person I ever met. She always knew how to give advice, what to say, what to do. And I treasure a lot of her advice. And I was thinking, if Patty would be here, what would she want me to tell you as an audience? And I'd like to say that as her health went down, Sunday, we were supposed to have a doctor's appointment last Monday morning, and she couldn't get out of bed. it was like almost overnight her condition worsened, and she went into emergency and she was hospitalized on Monday, and she passed away on Friday at about 1:45 in the afternoon. I was happy that Stephanie was together with me. Unfortunately, Mickey was traveling out of work and Maggie wasn't able to come back from Toronto on time. But Patty literally died in our arms, and Stephanie on one side of the bed and I on the other side of the bed, telling her we loved her, and she died in peace, no pain. The doctor said she went quickly. It all happened just within seconds and she was gone. But Patty, as she declined health-wise, she grew spiritually in equal proportion, and she felt that she was ready to go. Wednesday she told the doctor says, "What do you want?" She says, "I'm ready to go." She was at peace with God, she was at peace with herself, she was at peace with her fellow man, and it was a beautiful way in a sense that she was able to prepare herself for those few weeks to finally leave this world. And the same morning she died, she was saying to herself in the hospital bed in Spanish, "Yo no soy un cuerpo, soy espíritu." She said, "I'm not a body, I'm a spirit." And I told her, "Patty, soon you'll be with God, you'll be free." And so her suffering is over and she's free. Now we're the ones that feel bad, but one thing I know she would want to tell you, that if she was here, the lessons we've learned: don't go to bed angry with anybody. Say you love them. You don't know when it'll be your last day. Patty was very, very illuminated spiritually in the sense of, don't criticize anybody. Don't judge anybody. Because we're all connected in a spiritual way to each other. And we have to support each other and love each other, and don't criticize and don't judge, and just try to love. And she told me, and she told the people around her, be happy. Do what you like to be happy. Material things aren't important. Material things don't bring you happiness. You have to feel happy on the inside, because that's the only thing that counts. So I feel at peace in my heart that Patty left us in peace. Of course, my brain is still completely mixed up, and I don't know. I've been saying it'll take us time to recuperate, but I know we have a wonderful support system of people who, everybody says the same thing: "I don't have words, what can I do for you?" I said, "Don't leave us alone. Invite me over for a cup of tea, come and visit me, and let's remember this wonderful woman that touched all of our lives and made me a better person." So I know Patty's looking at us now, and she would all want to give you a big hug, because Patty loved to hug people, and we're sharing that love with her. So again, thank you for coming, and God bless you.
First off, I would like to thank Danny and Marsha for organizing this beautiful event for my mother. I would like to also thank all of you for coming all the way here to support all of us and to show the love. I've written a few words about my mother that I would like to share with all of you. It would be a lie to say that I'm still not in shock, that this still does not feel real. However, my mother would have wanted me to keep looking forward. As she would often say, the past is in the past, the future does not exist. We can only live in this moment here right now. I can proudly say that I am lucky to have had such a wonderful, strong role model, loving individual as my mother. She gave me and my brother the proper tools to be the best that we could be and let us live our lives freely. Mommy loved us unconditionally. I honestly think that there's nothing that we could have done that would have made her not love us. Whenever I was unsure about something, I would go to her for advice. Mommy had the best advice. I could call her about anything, and she would always have the best answer and solution to my problem. One of the things that I admire the most about my mother was her sense of humor. Mommy was really funny. There would be often times where she would have laugh attacks so bad that she would cry uncontrollably out of laughter, and this would last a while. Her laugh was so contagious that we would all join with her. I will miss her laugh the most. Mommy would also always keep me company. I would call her whenever I'd be stuck in traffic, and we would talk for hours. And even if we had run out of things to say, she would stay on the phone with me until I got home. It never mattered how far away we were from each other. She was always with me. And even though she's not a phone call away anymore, I know that she's still right here with me. She's right here with us. Mommy always reflected on what good had come from a bad situation. And in her honor, I would like to do the same today. Lucy, my mother, has taught me that we need to be more present in this moment right now, in this life that we're living right now. We need to love unconditionally. We need to stay in touch with those whom we love. We need to say, I love you, I miss you, I'm sorry. And lastly, we need to enjoy this life that we're living right now and live it to the fullest, because that's all that we have. Mami, te quiero y siempre estaré contigo.
First, I also want to thank everybody for your support today and always. I mean, the last week, there's been so many people that I've talked to, and it really means the world, and it really makes things feel better. Talking to so many people, you know, it really, I find that it's really proof of how amazing people are and the potential in people. Now, I just have some brief things to say about my mom and her life. My mom was born in Venezuela, where she lived for over 30 years. She has two sisters, Liliana, Carolina, and a brother, Gustavo. At the age of 15, she moved to New York City by herself to study English. She lived on Fifth Avenue with a roommate, and they both frequented Studio 54. Pretty wild for a 15-year-old. She also lived and studied in Houston before moving back to Venezuela. My mom had many interests and was not shy about pursuing them. She studied journalism and worked as a journalist. She went to graduate school for linguistics and lived in the Amazon jungle for a month studying indigenous languages. She's been a linguistics professor, a journalism professor, and a Spanish professor. She's worked in public relations in Venezuela's oil industry, and she was also a passionate art dealer and collector. In Canada, she created from scratch a newspaper serving several cities in Ontario and dedicated to the Latin communities in these cities. She was extremely creative and had an amazing capacity to bring life to anything. But perhaps more importantly, she was a great mother and friend, and was a source of inspiration to so many of us. She was wise, positive, and very patient. This is how my mom would have wanted to be remembered, as someone resourceful who could be counted on, and someone who had an innate interest in learning and helping others. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for coming. I appreciate the people that travel long distances. What a wonderful occasion to remember Patty. All the best. Thank you very much.